In the summer of 2007, my life dramatically changed. For the first time, really, ever, I had to be in the trees, hiking in the trees. I'd always been a go to the beach person when I needed to tune in and figure out what kind of direction to take in my life. But this time it had to be the trees. So I began hiking many times a week and up in the mountains in Columbia Gorge here in Oregon. And on the rebound trail and coming down the trail on the way back, one day, July 7th actually, it was like this big Doug fir just stepped on my path. It stepped right in front of me and caught my attention completely. Instinctively, I just leaned in, put my hands on the tree, and I felt a jolt of presence, complete presence. And I also felt this deep connection, like the energy in that tree is the same that's in me. The life force in the tree is the same as the life force that's in me. And this huge oneness kind of energy opened up, and everything from that moment on began to be connected for me. Slugs, clouds, trees, food, whatever, is all part of the same energy force, this collective energy force that we have, consciousness, if you will. And from that moment, I began really, I had such enormous curiosity about what was going on here, because prior to that, trees had just been lovely background. They really didn't call me much, or I didn't pay much attention. I think that's how most people operate. Nice trees, get on with your life, that kind of attitude. But from that moment on, I was changed. 3 months later, well, after I had begun exploring all these trees and hanging out with them, 3 months later, I received a traumatic brain injury in an accident. It was pretty bad. It took me way out for 10 years, and I lost everything that I had collected in my life to that point, which was a huge shift because I was just right on the cusp of being 60. So that was like, wow, a big deal. Okay. So then from that moment, I really began trying to be in the trees as much as I could, although often I couldn't even get out of bed. But when I could, I would manage to get up to the forest, which is close to my place, thankfully, and just lose the consciousness on the roots. And I did this for 9.5 years, basically, as I started gradually getting a tiny bit better, but not significantly. My life was really challenging. And then it became, I just had to have more life. I had to have more. This was not an acceptable way to live. So I spent an entire afternoon wandering from species to species of trees in the arboretum that's close to me. And it was like feeling like Goldilocks. They just didn't fit. This was lovely. Maple's great, but not quite a fit. And continuing to move on and move on. The linden tree, it was almost it. It's such an incredibly embracing, holding you dear kind of tree, like you're a toddler and you're being held. And then I found the hornbeams, and that was it. I felt such incredible peace coming from those trees, like I'd never felt from anything. And I stayed with them for 3 hours, just basking in this energy that they transmit. And they told me that they basically directed how I could heal. And so I began to do that, and then about 9 months later, I was healed, like 90% better. And I began really in earnest then focusing on the different tree species, because I had realized during this time that each tree species has a very different energy, just like we do. It's amazing. Who would think of this? Who would have this happen? It's like, I think I just was really called by the trees to do this work. And at that time, then I began creating a deck of tree transformation cards. These guys. There's like 50 different trees represented with their messages on the back that I received from the trees. And they have been selling really well for the limited audience that I have. They've been doing great. And I almost every week or every few days, I receive some random order for a deck of these cards from somebody way across the country that, how did you ever find me? And so that's a really good tool for people to learn to tune in to the tree energy. I also created a course called Tree Speak that did great with the small little audience I have. My work is basically, it's an outreach work to anyone interested in spirituality, trees, nature, healing, for sure. And just I found that people so deeply want to connect with this energy. When I am able to connect with people and to find them and reach them and do a workshop with them, or they buy my course, or I tune into the trees, or I do a reading, all these things, they're just like, oh, I'm so hungry for this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so happy to be doing this. It's just like, this is what I need. I get so much of this kind of feedback repeatedly. The number of people that could actually connect with this energy to change their lives, to feel great, to feel connected to the planet, to the earth, to the trees, to nature, to themselves. Because what it does, it makes your joy open inside you. And you realize that joy is there all the time. Yeah, and it gets covered over with all of our mind chatter. The trees don't have the mind chatter. They just are present 24/7 doing what they do. So that's me. I'm in the middle of creating another course right now that's basic. It's called Rooted Joy, 20 Ways to Connect with Earth, Trees, and Joy When You Can't Go Outside. Because people always say, oh, I can't go outside, it's too cold, it's too whatever, or I'm sick, or I'm hurt, or I just don't have the time, or I'm in a retirement home, I'm in the hospital, all these things. So it's for those people to be able to actually connect with this energy. We need it so badly right now. We're so disconnected over the last whatever years with our technology and the busy lives that we have. And it just takes a bit to open up that connection and that joy and that sense of belonging on the planet, belonging in your life, and all these good things. Thank you.